So if you can just go to that link, and I'll also share my screen anyways. So the rook is a piece, and it moves sideways and forwards. So it can move as far as it wants in each direction, like this, until it's blocked by another piece. And like, say if a piece was here, an imaginary piece, the rook wouldn't be able to go past it. And another thing is that maybe if it was like the enemy's piece, your rook could take that piece. So if a knight was here, like on the square I'm highlighting, the rook would have to either take it or just, because it can't go past the knight. Does everyone understand? So the rook can go sideways and forwards, and yeah. So that's it for the rook. And a fact about the rook is that if all of the pieces were off the board except for a rook, like even these two pieces weren't here, the rook would still, anywhere on the board, the rook could move 14 squares. So you can see all of the pieces, the squares you can move to. So you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And it would be the same if the rook maybe moved to this square.
네, Papa Desico.
I'm looking.
Oh, someone's
That's what it said
unmuted.
to them.
Nice to meet you. And the rook on d8, it can still move to 14 squares. And that's imagining if all of the pieces were off except for the rook. So you can see 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yeah, I might have counted wrong. But yeah, that's just a little thing. And well, these are just the farthest the rook can go in each direction. And so, well, there's a king, a queen, a rook, and a bishop, and a knight, and a pawn. So the queen looks like a crown, basically, and a rook looks like a castle, the one I'm highlighting here. And the bishop looks like, well, a cross and a body, I guess. And, well, the knight is just a knight. Well, a horse, but you call it a knight. And this is a pawn, and I guess it's called that because it's very weak. And the king is like a little cross in the top, and a crown. I don't really know, but yeah. So the rook is a castle, and, well, does everyone understand at this point? Could someone unmute? Okay, well, I am. Can everyone hear me? Okay. So that's it for the rook. It basically moves like this. And the bishop moves just like the rook, but diagonally. So when you saw the rook, if it was on this square and there was a rook, you would see it would move like this, but now the bishop moves like this. And it also can move as far as it wants until it's blocked by a piece. So, like, maybe if there was a knight here, the bishop couldn't go past it. So these two squares. It can only go up to these. Making this a little easier, I'll just put a knight here. And you can see here, Lichess won't allow me to go past the knight because that's just not how it works. But as you can see, it still can move to all the other limits of the board. And another rule is capturing or taking, and that's basically just using your bishop to take another piece. And the king can do that also, but there's only kings on the board and that wouldn't be winnable. And I'll get to the king later, right after the queen. But yeah, that's basically how the bishop moves, like diagonally. So, is everyone up to speed? Guess so. Okay, so after the bishop is the queen, and the queen just moves like a rook and a bishop. And could anyone tell me how the rook and the bishop moves? Like if you were to combine both of them. You can just unmute anytime you want. Okay, let's pick someone. Okay, well, whatever. But the rook moves like this, and the bishop moves like this. So it moves like, well, a rook and a bishop. And it also can go as far as it wants in these directions. And the king, since it's blocking the queen can't go past it. And notice how these two are the same color, which means that it's part of your army or, well, your side, because you're white and your opponent's black. So yeah, the queen can't go past a piece, so the same as the other ones, and if it's blocked by your own piece, you can't take it, because that would just not be possible. So yeah, that's for the queen. And well, does everyone understand? Okay, and now moving on to the king. So the king is basically a piece that cannot be taken, and it's the most important piece. The king comes with a lot of rules, that'll be taught later, and it can be very useful in the end stages of the game, but that'll be more advanced. it moves more, it just moves like the queen. So like the queen moves like this. It's taking a while. But it just moves like the queen, except that it can only move one square at a time. So that'll look like this. And well, yeah, you basically have to defend this king if black ever tries to take it. And if he does take it, well, he can't really take it, but if the king has nowhere else to go and a piece is threatening it, that is called checkmate. And when a piece is threatening to take it, like a knight on d6, I'll just say a knight here on d6, if it's attacking the king, that is called a check, and you have to move your king. Although that would be taught later. So, can everyone tell me how the king moves? Okay, you can unmute.
The king only moves one square at a time.
Yeah, and in which directions?
He only moves one square at a time.
Yeah, but in which directions?
Any direction.
Yeah. And yeah, just so yeah, good job. And the knight moves in a really interesting way, and simplified, it just moves in an L shape. So an L shape would basically be like two squares, maybe like this, but you have to pick one of them. So I'll just pick this side, and now an L, kind of like an L. See, like this. Yeah, knight to b6. And another way is like this, another L, and an L. So like the knight, and then to any square that's like, well, any side, like horizontally or vertically. So if I were to choose one side like this, then you can just go here to this square. This one's a little hard to show, but I'll go off the page and I'll just show you this, I guess. So the knight, once you're done this class, you should probably go to lichess.org/learn, and it's just a really good place to review your pieces. So the knight, it moves in an L shape like this. So Lichess wants me to move in an L shape and capture the stars. So yeah. And it just always moves in an L shape, again an L shape, and an L shape. Until you get all the stars. So yeah, this would be a pretty good way to get the stars. But yeah. And well, you don't have to capture all the stars at once, so yeah. So I just show you that. And so the knight is a little harder. So wait. Now beginner 4. So the knight moves basically in an L shape. Also, I'll be asking you how the pieces move later on anyways. So the pawn, ironically, is the most complicated piece to learn. And it's ironic because, well, it's also the weakest. So I'll break the different moves down, and the pawn usually moves 1 square up each move. So like this, and it just moves 1 square at a time. But the pawn starts on, I guess, the second rank, and ranks are basically this. This is a rank horizontally, or just basically like this. And the pawns always start on the second rank. So it can move to e3, but since it's only starting and it hasn't moved yet, it can also move 2 squares ahead. But then after that, it's already moved, so you have to just keep moving down 1 square. I don't know why it's so hard. But capturing pieces, like imagine there was a knight here on the square I'm highlighting it, and then you can just move diagonally to capture it. So that's the basic moves for the pawn, but there are also a lot different ones. So the pawn, I guess this doesn't have to be shown right away. But yeah, the basic pawn moves are basically like this. And another thing is, oh yeah, castling. No, not even. Maybe just like a piece setup. Like at the start of the game, how you set up the pieces. So once like you learn all the pieces and how they move, you can maybe play a game of chess, and well, this is how you set up the game. And you can see, as I said before, all the pawns start on the second rank. And if we were black, flip board. If you were black, you could also call this the second rank, but it's better to call it the 7th rank. And if you don't want to count it, you can see on the board. On the board there is 1, so that's the first rank. I'll flip the board again. And on 2, it's the second rank, and it's just the same for 3 and 4th and 5 and 6, all the way down. And at the start of the game, you have 8 pawns, all lined up on the second rank, 2 rooks on the side of the board, and 2 knights, 2 bishops, and 1 queen and 1 king. So it's kind of like a castle. So as I said before, the pawn, it can move 2 squares or 1 square if it has already moved again. Since this hasn't moved, you can go to e4. Oh yeah, I'll show you notation later. So e4, pawn goes here. Basically, if it hasn't moved yet, it can move 2 squares. And maybe if black plays that the same thing, it can only move 1 square at a time after that. It can't move 2, only 1. So yeah, that's basically how you set up the board. And I'll just show you chess notation. It's like a language to tell people what you moved your pieces to what square. Because you can see all these little letters and numbers on the board. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. So if you were going to move your pawn, you could say A4, because this is A, and the rank is 4. So it lines up directly to A4. And it's always the letters before the number. And maybe if you're going to move the knight, since it's on B, that's like if we was going to go here, it'd be going to C. So it's knight to C3. C and then 3. So in like a normal game of chess, E4 and E5, because E and then 5. And if you're going to move your queen, it would be queen to H5. Because, yeah, okay. So since I've already shown you that, I'll show you how the bishop is said, and it's pretty much the same. Like, okay, so the bishop moved to B, and then 4. So bishop to B4. And well, you can basically do that for all the other ones. Like the king, it's king to E2. And yeah, you just say the piece that you're moving and to which square. And this is just like a really easy way to tell people how and what you're going to move. So maybe after E4 and E5, knight to F3, knight to C6. I was going to move my pawn to D4. Okay, well, if I was going to move my bishop to this square, what would it be called? You can always unmute. If you want to unmute, you have to press a button that says unmute. Well, this is just called bishop b4, and it's check. Like the king is being threatened by a bishop, So you call that bishop to b4 with a cross. It would look like this. I'll promote this to the main line. Wait. So you can see a little cross here, and that would be symbolizing a check. And a hashtag, it's basically like two crosses but merged together. That would be a checkmate. So now I'm going to get my king out of danger. So what would this be called? Let's pick someone to unmute. Can anyone maybe tell me what this is called? King to which square? Okay, we'll just say this one. It's king to e2. So yeah, I just kind of brushed on that topic, and well, that's basically how you say moves. So I'll just quiz you on how the rook moves again. So can anyone tell me how the rook moves? In like which directions and all that? Okay, well, you might have forgotten it. It's rook. The rook can move sideways and forwards and all that. Oh yeah, and another way you can maybe remember how to move these pieces is like if I just teach you how to play chess. And that's over. I'll give you the link to my channel first, I guess. So this is my YouTube channel, and you can just check out these videos. And oh my god, Zoom is so annoying. Okay, so it's over here.
Hi, I will be teaching you how to play chess.
Yeah.
So let's first start with the rook. This is how it looks like if you.
So annoying. Well, yeah, that's basically this. So yeah, that's a playlist to this playlist, and yeah, there's a lot of videos on this. So yeah, you can maybe look at that later. So yeah, the rook moves like that, and the bishop moves in a diagonal way. And the queen moves like a rook and a bishop. And the king moves like this. And the knight moves like this in a L-shaped way. And the pawn moves just a lot, but yeah, it captures diagonally, and on its first move it can move 2 squares. After that it's just 1 square. And yeah, this is how you set up the board. I'll just give you the link to this practice thing. And yeah, you can just do that. Also, maybe you can do some, that's way too hard. I don't know. Is there anything? Okay, well, I think I'll just show you this again. So, yeah, the rook moves in this way, and this. So now, can anyone tell me how you capture the stars with the rook? Okay, you can unmute Cynthia.
It can make a straight line and a L.
It moves in. It doesn't move in an L shape.
And the right is an L.
That's the knight. The knight moves in an L shape, and I'm asking you how the rook moves. Just a little hint. It can move this way.
On the right and the left.
Yeah, in all directions, like this. Oh yeah, uh, a tip is that you should probably think before you move. So here, like, if you just maybe move too quickly and capture this piece, well, this star, Lichess says that the fewer moves you make, the more points you win. And now you have to make one extra move by doing this. But back here, instead of taking on g4, you could have taken on a4, and now g4 and g3. So you wouldn't waste any moves not taking a star, I guess. And yeah, I think this is a pretty good way to exercise, well, how you play the game. And it's kind of like calculation. You have to first calculate a few moves ahead. And here, I'm already looking at rook takes g8, but that doesn't work because after this, you have to take one of these and, well, you have to waste a few moves. Instead, you can take the h7 star, and then the g7, and then g1, and then you wouldn't, every move you make would be capturing a star. So in this example, you have 2 rooks, so you can just move either of them. And this is just capturing both stars with 2 rooks. So now this one's a little more complicated, and you're gonna have to figure out how you, well, capture all stars without wasting moves. And, well, the point here is that you have to first take the pieces that are like far away from the other stars, and then you take the stars that are closer together. It's kind of hard to explain, but you can see you first take the star that's furthest, and then you take this one because you can only take that one, and you can see you can just take this one and then this one, but then you would have to spend more time taking the b7 star. Instead of this, you can play taking the furthest one and then the closer one and then this. And you can just use the other one to clean things up. So this is the rook, and now it's the bishop. And, well, it's basically just like this. I think you have a tournament. I'm not sure where. I don't know if you well, I guess, yeah. Okay, I think you can play in this tournament. And you can also, go to the lichess.org/learn page to practice moving the pieces. And once you think you're confident enough to for the pieces, now you can move on to the fundamentals, like capturing pieces and combat. Well, it's just capturing and defending. And defending your king, like getting your king out of check, and protecting your pieces, and checking your opponent with a piece, and mate in one. Just checkmate. And checkmate means that you win the game. And there are multiple ways to win the game. As you can see in the tournament, it wouldn't show the time, but you can make your games timed. In most games they do, or else you could just spend all the time you want and and your opponent can't do anything about it. So that's why we have the timer. And in this game, you can see 2 strong players. They're playing 3 minutes plus 0, and 0 means that after each move, when they play a move, they don't get any time. If this was 3 plus 1. The increment would be 1, so after each move you get an extra 1 second. And it seems not really useful, but it's actually very useful. Because, like, right now they still have 1 minute, but, like, when they get to 6 or 5 seconds, if they don't get an extra second, it'd be a lot harder to stay alive. And, well, the reason why it's, like, why timers are good is because like when this gets to 0 seconds, you lose the game. And yeah, there's also a rating system. So Lichess has their own rating system, but it's pretty much the same for each one. Higher is good. And well, this guy is very strong, 2800, and well, he is a grandmaster, which is a title. A title is basically like when you get a certain point, you can like get achievements and get a title. But yeah, you can check that out in your own free time. But yeah, I would recommend you play more games like Rapid. Rapid is like, in Lichess they would say that it's 8 minutes or higher. So 10 plus 0, that's 8 minutes or higher. So you can call that Rapid. So, and like if this was 10 plus 5, that would actually be called 15 minutes. It just kind of makes sense. But yeah. As you can see, Lichess actually, yeah. Rapid games are 8 to 25 minutes, and classical games are 25 minutes and more. And, well, yeah, I think you should play more of these. And you can play a little bit of Blitz, which is fast games, only 3 to 8 minutes. You can just choose these on the quick pairings with like on Lichess. I would really recommend you to play on Lichess. Another site you can go to is chess.com. Although it gives a lot of ads and I don't really like it. Although you can get rid of them by purchasing a subscription. But yeah. So the time controls on chess.com are kind of the same. And you can see a little divider that's pretty much the same on Lichess. This just means plus. So like 1 plus 1, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 2. And yeah. But I would really recommend you to play on Lichess. And yeah. Once you get like more used to the game and you know all the rules, you can maybe try doing puzzles. Oh yeah, and you have to create your own account. You can do a lot of puzzles here. This number is a little high. Like if you're going to make it easiest on your account, that would be a little better. Or you can just like adjust to your own rating. But yeah, you can check out Lichess in your own time. But yeah, the class is over, so yeah, I'll end the meeting. Thank you everyone for joining today's class, and yeah.